Hello everyone, it's Damon recording a Iconic Masters draft for Arcane Cards, and it's a Phantom draft, so we don't get to keep the cards that we opened, which is a bit of a pity because we opened a very sweet one in Mana Drain, one of the more busted cards ever printed in Magic, essentially counterspell, but then you get to use the mana from their spell to cast whatever you like next turn. We've also got Hallmark card Fireball, very good card. The fact that you can split the damage means it's very versatile, even better than most of the X-Red burn spells. So if you're picking like the card purely on power and flexibility, I think Fireball will be the correct pick here. If you're picking sweet overpowered cards, I think Mana Drain is pretty awesome. So I'm definitely going to test out the Mana Drain. So I've talked about Fireball. Rest of the cards in the pack, these bounce lands are very strong. The fact that you can kind of 2-for-1 get 2 lands out of 1 land is very good. The rest of the cards are fine. So we're going to take Mana Drain, pass Fireball, and yeah, see what happens. The person next to us also took their rare, so that doesn't really tell us much. Looking at this pack, and keeping in mind we now have a Mana Drain, and we have passed a Fireball, good to note that. Not very much in this pack, actually. I can see why someone took the rare. Ajani's Pridemate is a pretty good payoff in the black-white life gain style deck. Ulcerate actually looks like a pretty decent removal spell, so I could definitely kind of go into a blue-black removal-ish style deck. There's also a Star Compass, which I quite like. There's a lot of 2-mana mana rocks in this format. Jessian Thief or Frostlink. Yeah, so I think the most powerful card is possibly the Ulcerate here, with the Star Compass being a close pick because it's colorless and lets you ramp into whatever you want to be doing. I'm not entirely sure where I want to be going at this stage. Probably not playing a Ajani's Pridemate outside of black-white, although maybe in blue-white it's got a home. Also I could see taking Jessian Thief here, or the Star Compass. I'm going to take the Ulcerate though, giving us 2 different colors, quite quite controlling start. Right, looking at this pack, there is Wing Shards. Okay, I'm not actually entirely sure how good this is. It's probably most of the time they're going to attack before casting any spells. There's a good old Monastery Swift Spear here. Be interesting if you went into kind of a blue-red style deck, although Mana Drain, of course, isn't great in that kind of deck because you want to be casting your spells on your turn to trigger prowess. What else do we have in here? There's a Mind Stone, which is very good. Ojitar's Breath, which is a fine tempo play. Seeker of the Way is very strong. Might take the Seeker here over a Mind Stone. The thing is, we don't really have anything to ramp into at the moment, so I don't know if like Mind Stones are going to be any good for us. And in our colors, yeah, it's essentially just taking the Mind Stone or this Riverwheel Arius, which I feel we can get pretty late. I think Seeker of the Way is a pretty strong card though, so I'm going to take that. 3 different picks from 3 different packs, or 3 different colours anyway. So hopefully we can figure out which direction we're going in based on what we're getting past. So we get past a Blizzard Spectre, a Mana Leak, a Dissolve. The cards I'm kind of looking at. In terms of white, the white cards are just not as strong. There's that Wing Shards, Emerge Unscathed, which seems fine. It's like a better version of that Center Soul card, I guess, because it's only 1 white. Infantry Veteran's pretty decent in a red-white aggressive deck. Given we've got this Mana Drain though, we've also got an Ulcerate. Blizzard Spectre seems like it could be pretty good. Or I could just take a Mana Leak and really go hard on the counterspells theme, but I think I'm going to take Blizzard Spectre here. If we can pick up any Mana Rocks, we can accelerate this out on turn 3, which is quite nice. Alright, this pack we've got some removal in Reeve Soul, which is pretty good. Reeve Soul and Claustrophobia, both good removal spells. Festering Newt, I guess, is a decent blocker. I mean, this would be okay in a sort of blue-black mill deck, but we don't really have any mill cards at the moment. Rotfist and Maggot is fine, but I'm definitely going to take one of these removal spells. Given that we kind of seem to be going more blue and black, I might take the Reeve Soul, as it's just cheaper mana, more efficient. This, like, Claustrophobia does kill more creatures, but it is also situational, so I'm going to take Reeve Soul over there. It's just easier to cast. We're getting a good sign that black does seem to be open here, although possibly not the kind of black that we want to be playing. We've got Bloodghast, which is a kind of good and a very aggressive black deck, and we've got Lord of the Pit, which seems pretty bad on its front side, but I mean, it is a 7/7 flying trample, so it kind of gets the job done. What does this do? Seems okay. I don't actually know how many one-powered creatures there are in this draft. And there's also a Star Compass as well. I think the Scorpion might be comparable to the Bloodghast, but I'm kind of curious to see if we can make Bloodghast do some work. Alright, we're getting past a pretty late Lightning Helix and a pretty late Topan Freeblade. And a pretty late, well, not a late Darksteel Axe. Darksteel Axe is just a good card though. Helix unfortunately doesn't really fit with anything we've picked up apart from this Seeker of the Way, so I'm not going to be as high on that. I guess Darksteel Axe could be decent on like a Bloodghast. The other option would be to pick up a Topan Freeblade, which would go nicely with the Seeker in maybe black-white aggressive deck. I could see that working, but I'm going to take the Darksteel Axe because I think it's more flexible. Okay, here we've got Grove of the Burnwillows. Valuable card, but of course this is Phantom Draft. We've got just an Angel of Mercy, a Guard Duty, Rotfeaster Maggot. We don't quite know what our... I mean, if it were in black-white, then I guess... black-blue, sorry, Rotfeaster Maggots are our only option. If we're getting a bit of a signal that white might be open, maybe we could pivot into it. I'm not too high on this Rotfeaster Maggot, so I think I'm gonna branch out and take this Angel, giving us 2 white cards. We've got a Guarded Strike here, which is also in white, but I mean, like, it would go well with the Seeker, but it's not amazing. What's this do again? Oh, it's a Mark of the Vampire. It actually looks more like a Mark of the Vampire than Mark of the Vampire does. I'm just going to take a Moonglove Extract here. It's just removal. You know, it's colorless, can fit into any deck. We'll always play it, and we don't quite know what direction we're going in yet, so that seems like a nice pickup. Wow, okay, Wheeling Ajani's Pridemate does seem like a bit of a signal. Maybe black and white is what we're meant to be in. We haven't seen much blue outside of Mana Drain and Blizzard Spectre. So yeah, I guess we'll take a hedge on black-white kind of life gain shenanigans. We've got the Guided Strike or a Stalwart Aven. I guess I'll take Guided Strike because it's pretty good with stuff like Seeker. This does give something lifelink, so it's another way to trigger life, but I'm going to take Guided Strike as a combat trick here. Yeah, alright, white does definitely seem to be the place we want to be. Sorry, Mana Drain. Another time. Emerge Unscathed or Infantry Veteran. I'm not huge on either of these. I guess the Infantry Veteran is better, but I'm going to take this Emerge Unscathed, considering that I thought there was another Infantry Veteran coming around, so I'll take that. And there's another Emerge Unscathed, or a Radiant Fountain, which does fit with the life gain theme, but I still think that this is slightly better. I mean, if we're going low to the... Oh my gosh, alright. So you can definitely tell that white is open at this point. So I think that's a signal of what we want to be in. We just want to open some big powerful white cards, which we certainly did. Yosei the Morningstar and Serra Angel, both, you know, borderline bombs. I guess it's a bit much to hope that one of them's going to wheel. We don't even have to necessarily be black here. We do have like 2 good black removal spells and a Bloodghast. Darksteel Axe is looking quite good at the moment. Let me arrange these properly in order of converted mana cost. Okay, so we did get a Yosei, which is pretty good. It's a nice sort of big top-end finisher. Serra Angel is almost comparable with it because you can get it out a turn earlier. But I'm going to take the Yosei because if they kill it, then it still has an effect. It's also just slightly more powerful card than the Serra Angel. So that's nice. Probably not wheeling anything particularly nice from this pack, but we probably get one of these random flyers back. Blizzard Spectre number 2, which now it seems like we're off. There's a lot of these nice fixing lands going around. Dragon Bell Monk could be alright. There's a Mind Stone, but we're kind of more off the Mind Stone plan at the moment and more into the life gain. Unfortunately, there's no real sort of payoffs in this pack. So I could just take Mind Stone here. Right, so my choice is between Mind Stone, the Monk, Guard Duty, another Eternal Thirst, a white. Yeah, I guess I'll take Mind Stone. We're still not ramping into anything especially, and I do want more creatures, but this does just seem like a replaceable creature. Like, at best, if you trigger Prowess, it's 3 for a 3/3, which is like, seems at the starting rate of where you want to be, so I'll take a Mind Stone. Wow. Fireball? I feel like I might be able to either splash this or just ignore black and go red-white, since red-white does seem to be quite an aggressive deck. Gutter Snipe seems like a very sweet card for the blue-red kind of spells matters deck. If I was still on blue, I could take a Phantom Monster, but Fireball is just like the strongest card in this pack by far, so it's splashable. I can possibly just play red-white. That seems like, wow, alright, maybe I should be playing red-white. Talk about wheeling out of my colours. I mean, the trick is just to draft what's open, right? So here I could take a Grizzly Spectacle, which is a decent removal spell, but there's a Firemane Angel, which is in red-white. I'm leaning towards that now anyway. I love this card. It's such a sweet design. You're basically just always gaining 1 life. The life gain, of course, very relevant with Ajani's Pridemate, strangely enough. It does mean we're going to lose out on another creature here with this Bloodghast if we go red-white. And we're not going to be quite as synergistic with the life gain theme. But hey, this actually gains this life, so maybe there's a sub-theme of life gain in red-white as well. Angelic Accord. Okay, well, this is a payoff for gaining life. On the plus side, this is also going to make us foil angels, since it's a foil Angelic Accord. Other than that, in this pack, there's a Magus of the Moon, which doesn't seem great in draft. Basically just 3 for a 2/2. And never seen this card before. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it for us. So Angelic Accord seems nice. I'm gonna start counting how many ways we have to gain life. We've got a lot of Mermerge Unscathed, which aren't really going to be quite good, so we really need to start focusing on creatures. This seems like a fine place to start. It gains life. Can go in the deck. These are all fine, but I need creatures, so I guess this costs 6. I really don't need any more Emerge Unscathed. That's a very expensive enchantment. So I could pick up another creature here in one of these. There's a Furnace Whelp, which seems pretty mediocre. There's a Halberdia, which is kind of stronger than you'd think. Yeah, I think I want to take a creature here over another Moonglove Extract. I mean, Extract is good, but I'm only on 7 creatures. The question is whether I want the Halberdia or the Sustainer of the Realm. I mean, I'd normally take Moonglove Extract here, but I'm going to take the... Well, actually, no, I don't have much removal. I'm going to take the Extract. All of those creatures I felt were pretty replaceable. Although now I get a pack with really no creatures in it either. Is Furnace Whelp any good? 4 for a 2/2 flyer. It has fire breathing, but I'm only going to be half based red anyway. Maybe I'm only splashing red at this stage. We don't even know. In terms of black, if we did want to splash a bit of black in... No, I'll take Star Compass. Have a Fury Charm? Yeah. Alright, there's some good red aggressive cards in this pack though. They don't really synergize with life gain. There's a Borderland Marauder, which is a great attacker. And There's a Battle Rattle Shaman, which is pretty good if you're making tokens, or like it's stronger than it looks. 4 for a 2-2 looks pretty weak, but I'm going to take the Borderland Marauder here, since that's the most aggressive option. So we also wield a Graven Cairns, which I might actually take here over, as I said, these rather generic cards. This is pretty bad if you're on the ground, because they can still just block. But Graven Cairns might actually let us splash in, like, gives us an out to splash some of these other cards, which could be pretty nice. What's this? Reduces our dragons. We have currently one dragon. It is a 1/3 or a 0/4, neither of which is particularly aggressive. Combat Trick, which I currently don't really need. Yeah, I can't take the Guided Strike, unfortunately, because I just need more creatures, more generic creatures. By the same logic, I'm probably taking the Dragon Bell Monk. This would be pretty sweet, but I need, as I said, need creatures. Deck without creatures doesn't really function. I'll take this giant storm thing away. Pentarch Ward or a Fury Charm. I've got enough protection with my Emerge Unscathed, so I'm going to take Fury Charm. Has some decent sideboard options. Oh, here we go. White life gain payoff. What's this card? Pretty cool. Wow, there's some nice ones in this pack. So here's the black-white life gain payoff, although it's going to be harder to do black. This gains life. Sarah Ascendant, I think, is just a clear pick. We are trying to gain life, not that we really have that many ways at the moment. We've got a couple, actually, now that I'm looking. And it's also got lifelink, and, you know, we might be able to buff it up with a Darksteel Axe, Emerge Unscathed, give it First Strike, blah 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 blah. Sarah Ascendant seems like a good pick for us. Alright, next pack we've got a Maze, which could let us splash blue, Hypersonic Dragon, an off-color bounce land, disenchant for the sideboard, Dragon Egg just as like a random. Yeah, this is not looking great. I still need creatures here, but I might be forced into just taking either no, off-color bounce land seems bad in this deck. I mean, we're only ramping into these things. Take disenchant for the sideboard. Is there a chance? Not really a chance you want to splash blue in this deck. Or I could take a Dragon Egg, but that also seems pretty poor. Yeah, not a great card for us. I mean, again, Guided Strike like is pretty decent in our deck, I guess. But I wonder if, I think there's some pretty broken stuff going on with enchantments, and Guided Strike wheeled last time, so this is another fine sideboard card to have. Creature. Alright. I'm in for this. It gains life. It's got protection from basically half the format. Other options here, we could look at taking the Sanctuary or a Student of Ojutai. Hopefully we wheel the Student of Ojutai. Yeah, I would like some more life gain payoff. Currently our only one is that Angelic Accord. It'd be nice if we could pick up another one of those. But the Yorick Champion seems weak and underpowered, but it does kind of seem what our deck is wanting to do. Wow, alright. A very nice pickup. Swords to Plowshares. Look, it also gains life. It's on theme. Although I guess if you're casting it on your own creatures, it's a it's a bit worse. But yeah, premium removal spell. I'm very happy to pick that up. Seeker of the Way is a very nice addition as well. So I think we are getting a little bit paid off here by just seeing that these colours were open. Like white was way open, red was open the other direction, possibly not open this direction. But that's another Seeker of the Way is great. Wow, Sarah Angel. Yeah, I just don't think anyone's drafting white here, or at least they're on the opposite side of the table to us. It's a very easy Sarah Angel pickup. Here's a Student of Ojutai. So we're going to be gaining a lot of life. Whether or not we can use that life to do anything interesting is another question. I guess I could consider taking a Mannequin, but I think Student of Ojutai is just fine, just good. More ways to gain life. So here is a Trumpet Blast, which is not really our style of deck. It's another Disenchant. Yeah, I very much doubt I'm going to play Trumpet Blast, so I'll take another Disenchant. Alright, here's a Guild Mage. I kind of like picking this up. We already have a way to kind of splash black in. I could definitely see that making the deck. It's pretty powerful if you can make them lose life every time you gain life, even if it costs 3. So we're now up to 16 creatures. I could take another Guided Strike or have a Forged Tender. If the opponent is playing red, this is pretty great. I have a lot of combat tricks, but there's a potential that I might want another Guided Strike. Yeah. I think the chance of me running into another red deck medium, and I've got so many kind of early cheap plays anyway. So I could take a Moonglove Extract here, or a third Student of Ojutai. It's an interesting choice. I do think Moonglove Extract is fine, like it's a pretty good card, but maybe I'll just take the... No, it has to be right to take the Moonglove Extract, right? Alright, we're kind of running out of cards here. Oh, is there any point in hate drafting? I don't really think there's any point in hate drafting. Maybe this will come in against a super aggressive deck. Oh, Infantry Veteran's a nice pickup at the end. It's going to make the deck. We've got Disenchants for days. And a Wild Size. Alright, interesting draft. I think like we ignored our first 4 or 5 picks essentially. I guess we did take that Seeker of the Way. And wheeled into this kind of mainly white actually now that I look at it. If we want to splash black, then we've got the Graven Cans and the Guild Mage. What's the requirement on this? It's just a great filter land, okay. So we need another mountain to turn this on. So if I'm splashing black, I could consider splashing either the Reeve Soul or the Ulcerate. But because we've got 3 Moonglove Extracts, most of the stuff that the Moonglove Extract is going to kill is the same stuff that these cards are going to kill. So less interested in that. Let's just take out that for the moment. So this is giving us 29, but I've obviously got way too many non-creature spells in here. I'm going to cut one of these Emerge Unscathed just for the moment. Don't really need that many. Definitely want Angelic Accord. Star Compass seems pretty poor in the deck. Mind Stone's fine because it cycles, but Star Compass is just ramping us up, and our top is... I guess we've got Fireball, but I'm not super keen on that. I could just play 2 of these Moonglove Extracts and have one in the sideboard. This Servant seems pitiful as well. I don't know why that somehow found its way in there. I've got another Guided Strike potentially here, which does cycle itself. This Darksteel Axe is going to be good. Yeah, I like having maybe one of... Like, we'll see. These can go to the player as well, so that's not bad. But maybe we can start with 2 in the main deck and then see what the opponent has. Like, if they've got lots of easy targets for it, then it could be pretty good to bring in. Not sure about splashing this card. The thing is, sure, the effect is nice, but most of the time, like, you're going to pay 3 mana and then what you're gaining whenever you gain life this turn. So say we've got like a Fire Main out and we trigger a Student of Ojutai. I guess they lose 3, but it's like, if you see what I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I might just want to be spending my mana on something else. It does give stuff lifelink too. It says 25 with 1 Mind Stone, a couple of top end cards. This Monk that I'm certainly not happy about. There's only 15 creatures. Yeah, I don't think we need to splash this at the moment necessarily. Also, the fact that its activated abilities also cost black, so, I mean, this would be fine. We could add black to our pool. It's probably the best way we could splash it. So then we could actually activate both abilities. But other than, like, if we just had normal swamps in our deck, I guess it's fine. It's just another thing to consider. So at the moment I'm considering another Guided Strike. I guess Guided Strike is better than Emerge Unscathed, unless we see the opponent has a lot of removal spells. We kind of want to be... Yeah, I like the draw a card a bit better on Guided Strike here. With that said, I might just be cutting it again because I want... the question is, do I want 24 or 23 cards? My curve is not super high. I don't have a lot of stuff to sink mana into. Yeah, I'll probably go 16 lands in this deck. 16. This is 1 mana sink. And I've got a Mind Stone. 16 lands, I can see... Yeah, I could see getting away with 16. Which means I need to make one more cut. Very tempted to cut this Dragon Bell Monk. But maybe I should cut one of these non-creature spells. I don't know how Emerge Unscathed, how good it is, but it seems fine. Definitely seems like it could save your creature, or... This seems really poor on its own, but maybe just gaining 1 life every turn is good. What do I actually have? I've got the Angelic Accord. If I gain life... I don't have too much, so I could see cutting that, but again, my creatures are getting a little bit low. They're 2 for 1/1, but pro black and red. Maybe it does some work. Sword is great removal. This could force us through for the last few points of damage, which is nice. Alright, I'll take out 1 Guided Strike. And then we can adjust as necessary. We can, like, feel like we want to add in this Guild Mage, or feel like we want to add in the Emerge Unscathed and the more Guided Strikes for more combat tricks. We kind of just, with this deck, want to get them low enough using like our combat tricks, our Darksteel Axe, pecking in, and then, you know, using the Moonglove extracts to clear the way until we can just fireball them out or land a big flyer. So, seems like it's a decent plan. I feel like we need more red sources than that. If we go 10-6, I've got a double cost spell, so I kind of want 12 sources if I want to play that consistently, but so I've only got 3 red cards. Wow, alright. I kind of don't want to go below this too many sources. I don't have many double, or I've got a lot of cheap creatures. 10-6, or I could go 9-7. That seems pretty bad. Alright, we'll go 10-6. I definitely think it's worth playing the red because we get Fireball, Firemane Angel. The Marauder's just sort of like an extra little bonus on top. And there's no payoff really for going mono white anyway. So anyway, there's the deck. Interesting. We'll head into the first game soon, and I'll see you then. So here we are for round 1. Our initial hand is a little bit disappointing. This is the punishment of playing the extra mountain here. So with all these double white cards in our hand and quite high drops, we could keep this and hope to hit a white. We do have the Moonglove extract and 3 lands, so we would be able to do it. I decided to take a mulligan here. We are also on the play, it is worth noting, so this hand is slightly better on the play. Unfortunately, we mulligan into a far worse hand. This hand again is fine if we can hit 2 lands off the top, but on the play it means we miss our land drop on turn 1, definitely, and even then it's pretty dodgy, so I kind of have to mulligan this one. Opponent also takes a mulligan. We drop down to 5 card hand. Well, at least it has both of our colours of mana in it and a fireball, so I do keep this and scry that mountain to the bottom. So, not a good hand. We have to hope that the opponent has a slow start and that we draw some action, which currently we're just drawing more lands. But opponent doesn't have anything. We do draw an Angelic Discord. I'm only playing planes out here to not give the opponent any information of our second colour. They have an Abzan Falconer. And so here for 4 I'm just going to cast my Angelic Accord. I do draw a great removal spell in the Swords to Plowshares. At the moment I'm probably not going to cast it on this Falconer as it's only dealing me 2 damage a turn. So I'm going to try and save the sword for something better. I can take a few hits from the Falconer. Likewise the Fireball might be able to clean out a few different creatures in the near future. So they outlast their Falconer. I get a 1-1 on like turn 6. Always good. If I can find some way to gain life though, Angelic Accord could start doing work. So again, I'm not going to cast this Swords to Plowshares quite yet on the Abzan Falconer. It's getting closer, but they do have all of their mana open as well. So drawing a second infantry veteran, not the best, but at least it's something to do. I'm pretty certain at the moment that the opponent has counter spells in hand since they have 6 cards in hand and didn't play anything last turn. You know, why aren't they playing their spells? I mean, I guess they don't have to with the Falconer, but it seems a bit suspicious, like we're not really doing anything either, and it's not like we're holding counter spells. So it's probably going to get to the stage where I need to start killing this Falconer. I do draw a Serra Ascendant, which I thought might bait out a counterspell from the opponent. We can start giving it +2/+2 when it attacks, so it's essentially going to be a 3/3 attacking lifelinker, which is going to negate their Falconer damage. So again, I decide not to use my removal spells in case they play some giant bomb. They attack him with the Falconer here, and have a Frost Lynx, which taps down our Serra Ascendant. Again, a pretty bad target to Swords to Plowshares. Also note they've kept open 1 and 2 blue, which is a supreme counter mana. Adani's Pridemate is a nice draw though, because that's going to let us start gaining life and putting counters on it. So play this out, it gets dissolved as we kind of expected. So now we do have a window if we wanted to get rid of one of their creatures, and I decide to go ahead and Swords to Plowshares their 3/4, saving the Fireball for a situation where I might possibly get a 2-for-1, and the Flyer is a more annoying threat. They attack him with a Frost Lynx, which could mean anything, and they have one of the few Wraths in the format, Supreme Verdict, to wipe the board, kill all of our creatures, and we draw another land, really just searching for a way to gain 4 life at this stage off the Accord. Opponent has drawn so many more cards from us this game, apart from our mulligan to 5, but their best threat apparently appears to be a Frost Lynx. It's kind of getting to the stage where at some point I'm going to need to Fireball just some random creatures out of the way so we can draw some life gain, but we've got a few more draw steps to hit. I mean, specifically we've got 4 attacks from the Frost Lynx. Alright, so we draw more lands, not great in our 16 land deck. It's a pretty funny game actually that we mulled to 5, drew basically nothing, and apparently are still alive. They again have 3 mana up and have a Student of Ojutai as the play. So, Borderland Marauder is not great draw. I'm actually just go ahead and Fireball their Student of Ojutai while I can, because that's too much pressure. Play the Marauder, and the Marauder in fact gets countered by Condescend. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. So they couldn't counter my Fireball because I didn't tap enough mana, but they used the Condescend to counter the other rather useless card I had. Mnemonic Wall, bringing back Dissolve, why not? So I'm very much dead here. The only reasonable out I have in this game is drawing Firemane Angel on this next turn, because I can cast Firemane Angel, they counter it, it goes to my graveyard, and then I gain 1 life in my turn, so I go back up to 4, they take me down to 2, I go up to 3, so Firemane Angel would be the best draw in my deck, and possibly the only one that keeps me alive, and another land is definitely not going to do it. So yeah, we got a little bit flooded. We mulled to 5, we didn't find any life gain, so definitely, you know, deck not working out as intended, but let's give it a shot for the next game. So we saw the opponent had a lot of 2/2s and small threats that game, so the Moonglove Extract in the sideboard looks pretty good to come in, and something like the Auroch Champion, you know, a 1/1 with protection from black and red seems pretty weak against the deck. it doesn't put on any pressure, gaining life. They don't really have many creatures. We don't have many creatures, and the protection is irrelevant. So take out Norop Champion and put in Moonglove Extract. I also swap out a mountain for another plains because I really don't need that many sources. So now I'm running 5 mountains and the 11 plains. So I'm really going to hit my white sources. And then we go back in for game 2. Here we are for the second game of the first round, and this hand is an easy keep. We've got 1 drop, we've got 2 drop and 2 combat tricks, both colours of mana, even though double white would actually be better in this circumstance. But this is a great start for us, especially since we're on the play. We get to play our 1 drop and it can't be countered, and we also get to play a 2 drop, and that won't be able to be countered either. So Sarah Ascendant into Seeker of the Way seems like the ideal start for us. Opponent has no follow-up plays, so we have to expect them to be on some kind of counter magic. We did see Condescend the first time around, and blue and white kind of more of that controlling style deck. So expecting them to have counter spells such as Condescend and Mana Leak, etc. We draw a Firemane Angel. So our choice for the turn is whether or not we're going to cast Emerge Unscathed, Guided Strike, or nothing. I think I do want to cast a non-creature spell, since that will trigger Prowess and means this gains lifelink. And the more life we get to, if we get to 30 life, this is a real threat. So I decide I'm going to cast one of these spells. The question is which one. The most obvious one is to cast Guided Strike, since it draws us a card and it gives us a creature next to point of power, which gets us to that life total faster. Emerge Unscathed also seems better against their, Frost Lynxes, etc. The only downside to casting Guided Strike is that they could Condescend it, but honestly, I'm kind of happy if they Condescend a Guided Strike, since it's still going to trigger Prowess. I still cast the spell even if it doesn't resolve. So I think that's a pretty good use of mana, especially since, given how many lands I've got, I won't really be able to afford to play around Condescend anyway. Like, it's definitely going to hit one of my spells. I'd prefer it hit one that still affects the board by triggering Prowess. So I go ahead and cast a Guided Strike here. Prowess gets triggered, and sure enough, they do have the Condescend. So they get to scry 2. My spell is countered. I don't draw the card, but I do hit for 4 points of lifelink. They have a Frost Lynx, which taps down the Seeker of the Way. We draw Swords to Plowshares. Interesting choice this turn, whether we can, Emerge Unscathed or Swords the Frost Lynx, but I decided that both of those spells are so much better kept back on our side of the board. We don't really need to try and attack him with our 1 Sarah Ascendant. We'll just kind of get there the normal way. We draw a second Plains, which is very nice. Allows us to attack. We could attack with both, but I decided just to attack with the Seeker, just to be safe. Cast an Emerge Unscathed to trigger the Prowess. We've got the possibility of this getting bounced back to our hand, but honestly it's not that bad. The opponent condescends our Emerge, which is fine. We still gain the 3 life. We still have both spells. Well, we've still got the Sword to the Plowshares up. They attack him with the Frost Lynx, which kind of signals a Supreme Verdict, but in fact is a Phantom Monster, so just a 3/3 flyer. So I could cast a Swords to Plowshares end of turn on the Phantom Monster, which would mean I've got an attack next turn, but this wouldn't have Prowess. Although if I draw a land, I can cast both the Swords and the Dragon Bell Monk. So I think in this situation, triggering Prowess is better than kind of being mana efficient. They definitely can't counter whatever we play. So I do draw a land, which means we get to Swords the Phantom Monster, trigger Prowess. Sarah Ascendant is going to jump up to be a 6/6. The only thing I've got to be wary of here is that Supreme Verdict that we saw in the previous game. If I run out the Dragon Bell Monk, then I'm essentially... Well, next turn I've got the Student of Odotai, so it's not that bad. I'm not particularly attached to the Dragon Monk. Could be worth just running it out here. It definitely can block the Frost Lynx, and means that our Sarah Ascendant will be nice and big next turn. Let's speed this up a bit. I decided not to play it just because of that threat of the Wrath. And they've just got another Frost Lynx here. Looking back on it, I think it was pretty correct to play the Dragon Bell Monk, since I'm not really attached to this creature, and having this as a 6/6 flyer is definitely a lot more pressure. So I think that was a mistake on my part. Opponent can't really afford to only got one card in hand anyway, so if they had the Wrath, they can't wait on it for too long. Alright, so we cast a Student of Ogisai and get Condescended for the third time, which is fine. It's not a great creature. It's annoying that our Serra Ascendant doesn't have flying, so yeah, not playing that Dragon Bell Monk there quite hurt us. Iona's Judgment takes out our lifelinker, but we do draw another land, which is nice. Get to chip in for 1 point of damage with the Serra Ascendant. Opponent is on 0 cards in hand. And we're now 1 mana away from casting our gigantic bombs, when thankfully all of their counter magic is gone. So we can cast down this Dragon Bell Monk, see what they come up with. Cephalid Broker, which is good, but not so good when you don't have lands in hand. They've got the double Frostlinks here. We draw an Angel of Mercy, which isn't quite as good as a land, but is still good as it's a flying threat that also gains us life. Again, we're getting kind of close to that magical 30 life for the Serra Ascendant. With the Cephalid Broker active, it's quite likely the opponent will be able to draw into that Supreme Verdict, so have to expect that here at some point. The question is, do we play the Fireman Angel or Yosei the Morning Star? Both of them are fine if they die, but the Fireman Angel is better if it gets countered, because then it just goes to our graveyard. So considering the opponent is, on this counter slash Wrath of God plan, I decide to play the Fireman Angel out. If it dies, we can get it back for 10 mana, and they do have the Supreme Verdict to wipe out all of their creatures. And this turn we get to play Yosei the Morning Star, which does get hit by the next Condescend. If they have 4 Condescends, then Yosei goes down. But we draw the land, and I decide to play that land to make sure that we don't get Condescended for the 4th time. Play Yosei. We've now got a 5/5 flyer, and they're on 7 life, so things looking pretty good for us. They have a Frostlinks to tap it down for a turn, but we have some nice draws as well. Infantry Veteran means that we can actually pump the Yosei to a 6 points of damage. Not that it matters, and now we have Moonglove Extract for the win, since we can target players to deal 2 damage. So that was a nice little round there. Definitely worth noting how many counterspells they have. Triple Condescend, Supreme Verdict, but not many actual threats. So, we just need to make sure that we play around the counter magic where we can, and put enough threats on the board to pressure their life total. So we need to have a pretty aggressive start, obviously, like this game was ideal, and sort of follow it up by playing around that counter magic. So let's head to game 3. So here for game 3, our hand is pretty great for an aggressive start. We've got Seeker of the Way and Darksteel Axe, Guarded Strike, and we've got this Fireman Angel again, which is one of our better threats. So we just have to be wary of the opponent's counterspells. I cast the Darksteel Axe down here, which can't get countered. The opponent passes back to us. They have 2 mana open, and I saw 3 Condescends last game, so I'm definitely going to play around Condescend, and luckily I drew a 1-drop, which means I can cast Serra Ascendant and still have 1 mana open. If I hadn't drawn the Serra Ascendant, honestly I still would have played around Condescend, since Seeker of the Way is such a valuable creature. I would have just waited 1 more turn to cast it, but since we draw the Serra Ascendant, it works even better for us. And I'm playing around that card so hard because I did see 3 copies of it from the opponent, so it's fairly likely that they have 1, and the risk of it is not that great. So again, I play around Condescend, play a 1-drop with 2 mana open, which is very nice, and get to attack him with the Darksteel Axe on a lifelinker. And the thing is, at this stage, the opponent having Condescend is actually not that bad for me, because I have 2 threats on the board. If they don't put anything down like a Frostlinks, then they're just going to be taking tons of damage. If they do put down a Frostlinks, I get to deploy my other threats. And also I have a Guarded Strike here to get through the Frostlinks. Infantry Veteran's also nice since it pumps up the lifelinker a little bit. Not drawing any lands is not the best, but we still have a good lot of threats here, and it's definitely better to attack with just the Serra Ascendant, since we can give it +1/+1 and gain 1 more point of life. I decided that I really don't need to add to the board here. There's nothing that they're doing that is not good. We're winning on board. I don't need to run into a counterspell or a Wrath any better. Again, 1 more attack with this Serra Ascendant is going to get us up to a nice 30-point life total, and then this just runs away with the game on its own. So exactly, no point in adding anything further to the board, getting it countered or getting it wrathed away. If they deal with this Serra Ascendant, then yes, I'll need to play something else. But as it is, we're just kind of winning on board, so why bother playing into anything? And in fact, the opponent just scoops from our 3-card combo. They reveal their hand to us. I think it was 2 Condescends, a Mana Leak, and a Mnemonic Wall, or something similar to that. So yeah, easy game at the end. We definitely got lucky with getting all of our 1-drops in play. The Darksteel Axe really shining there, making it a fast clock, but also showing you the power of just playing around counter magic and, you know, just knowing your opponent's deck. Really, the information that you garnered from the previous games can really help you give you an advantage in that final game. So, yep, we win the first round in 2-1 mana, and we'll go on to round 2. Here we are for the first game of round 2, and our hand looks great. Again, we've got Serra Ascendant to begin with. Powerful removal spells. We've actually got 4 1-drops in this hand, which is pretty exciting, and you know, we've also got a removal spell and a protection spell, so things looking good for us. We do need to hit some more lands, preferably white. We do hit the second swamp, which is very nice. Play down the veteran. Opponent has a Jessian Thief, which I decided to actually Swords to Plowshares end of turn, since I'm running a little bit low on mana. The Jessian Thief is a 1/3 with prowess, and if it hits us, they draw a card, and I have no good blocks for it this turn. Also, this turn my plan is either to play a Moonglove Extract or Emerge Unscathed, and I'm not going to Emerge Unscathed like my creature to block their Jessian Thief, so it seemed easier to Swords it and be mana efficient that turn. So here we get to play the Moonglove Extract, attack for 2 lifelink points, and hope they play something with 2 toughness. They just have another Jessian Thief though. So again, it's pretty hard to block that, although now we do have the Student of Ojutai, which is nice because we drew the land. I attack him because we do want that lifelink points, and if they block, we can Moonglove Extract the Thief, but they don't do that, so we just play our Student of Ojutai, which kind of unflavorfully, I guess, gets hit by Ojutai's Breath. The student getting hit by the master. So that means our Student of Ojutai is going to be tapped down, and we're going to take a hit from the Infiltrator. They get to draw a card here. Again, we have no really good blocks, which is kind of annoying. We draw an Auroch Champion, which we're definitely playing. So I guess the play here is to play the champion. Hopefully we can Emerge Unscathed to block the Jessian Thief, because Ojutai's Breath is going to rebound for them. I'm going to respond by casting Emerge Unscathed, gain 2 life from the student, and give our Auroch Champion Pro Blue, so it won't be tapped down, and we can also block the Jessian Thief this turn if they attack, which I'm assuming they probably won't. They just have another Jessian Thief, so 3 thieves, thick as thieves, as they say. Alright, we get to rebound the Emerge Unscathed, and triggering the Student of Ojutai gives us 30 life, the magical life total, to buff our Serra Ascendant to a 6/6. I give it Pro Blue for no other reason than just giving it Pro Blue. Attacking for 7 points of lifelink with the Infantry Veteran, putting us up to 37, and no amount of thievery is going to get the opponent out of this spot. Still stuck on 3 lands, it must be noted. So let's go into the sideboard with that knowledge in mind. So we're going to definitely keep in mind the 3 Jessian Thieves we saw. Moonglove Extract unfortunately doesn't seem that good. Dealing 2 damage to a 1/3 doesn't really deal with it. It's unfortunate that most of our removal spells that actually deal with it are in black. Ulcerate and Reeve Soul both kill it fairly nicely. So I decided for this game to go a little bit radical. I'm going to bring in the black. Ulcerate and Reeve Soul are going to come in, and to support that I'm going to need to change the mana base around. So add in 3 swamps and that Graven Cans, and I take out well, I actually made a mistake. I added in 3 swamps and the Graven Cans, but I only took out 3 mountains, and then the 2 cards I also took out were Borderland Marauder and the Moonglove Extract. I forgot that the Graven Cans was going to be an extra land. Somehow I put it in a different spot, so I actually ended up with a 41 card deck, as you can see, for the next round, playing black and still keeping that red splash alive with the Graven Cans. So here we are for game 2 of the second round. Our hand, as you can see, is now fitted out with the black splash. This hand is normally pretty bad. I am going to be on the draw though, and it has all of our colours of mana, which I think might be a bit of an issue. So I decided to keep it, really hoping to just draw any action, but we can kind of remove most of the early stuff, especially with the Moonglove Extract. Opponent seems to have curiously switched colours, gone into like a black-white variant, but hopefully you can find some action here before they can do anything too fancy. We draw an Auroch Champion, which we can't cast, but we can put down the Moonglove Extract. Champion might actually be pretty good if they're now base black. They have a Thrill Kill Assassin, which our Auroch Champion can block very nicely. Drawing the land is not great, but it does mean that we can play our pro-black creature. The opponent here casts a Foul-Tongued Invocation, and for some reason Magic Online doesn't show what they revealed, but I think this is a bug because they did reveal a Kakusho. As you can see, they gained 4 life. Kakusho, the Evening Star, the 5/5 dragon. Yes. Anyway, it told me in chat that they'd revealed it, but didn't show it. So kind of dodgy goings on there from MTGO. So we know they've got a Kakusho, and they can play it next turn. If they get the mana. We're taking 2. Drawing another land is not great. I decided to go ahead and Reeve Soul the Thrill Kill Assassin, which I think is a definite mistake. The Thrill Kill Assassin is not dealing us tons of damage. I prefer just to leave that back and save the Reeve Soul for something like the Jesse and Thief, which we do know that they have. Moonglove Extract again not being very useful. And Jesse and Thief comes down. So we've got this Swords to Plowshares, and we draw another land, which is really the only way to deal with Kakusho that we have in our deck. So I'm not going to fire this off on the Jesse and Thief. I'm just going to have to let them start drawing cards. And as you can see, using that Reeve Soul was a big card disadvantage, since now they start to just get ahead on card advantage. Another Jesse and Thief, because why not, and a Mannequin, so we really need to draw something this turn. Luckily we do draw a massive body in Yosei, so we get to cast this Yosei, which is going to at least block one of the Thieves, hopefully, unless it gets hit by Odotai's Breath. Instead, the opponent has Repeal to take back Yosei to our hand and trigger their Jesse and Thieves, but of course we sorry, didn't even show it here because I got exiled. We have the Emerge Unscathed, so we can give it protection from blue. Their Repeal. Oh, look, there we go. For some reason, this came under our revealed cards, Kakusho. Anyway, so we cast Emerge Unscathed on the Yosei. We gave it Pro Blue. They couldn't attack, and they didn't get to draw the card off Repeal. Emerge Unscathed rebounds. I decide not to attack since it's really the only thing stopping the Jesse and Thieves from drawing tons of cards. Opponents is going ham with card draw. They get to amass the components. They still don't play Kakusho down though, which is interesting. Drawing the Student is nice since it lets us start attacking with Yosei, since we can now block at least one of their Jesse and Thieves, and I kind of want to get a bit of a clock going. Second, amass the opponents. Mass the components from the opponent means they can attack here. I do get the chance to trade off a Moonglove Extract here for a Jesse and Thief, which I think is pretty fine. Opponent on 7 cards, they've just completely outdrawn us this game. Rot Feast and Maggot's going to gain them 1 life. I take out the Jesse and Thief with the Moonglove Extract, keep hitting them in the air, because why not? Third, amass their components, because also why not? Cards are good. I just go ahead and block the Thief here, since, you know, I'm winning this damage race. Here, okay, so here's an interesting point. They cast Kakusho. I have tons of mana. Alright, this is a very clear mistake, and I think it's a mistake that definitely cost me the game at this point. They've got Kakusho. I've been saving Swords to Plowshares this entire time to deal with Kakusho, right? So in my mind, I'm going to Swords to Plowshares it. They go to their end step. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just Swords to Plowshares it. I know I'm going to do that. I'm going to be able to attack in next turn with Yosei. Why wouldn't I do that? I did think at this point, as I cast Swords to Plowshares, oh, there's one reason not to cast Swords to Plowshares at this point, and that is if I draw Angelic Accord. And as fate would have it, I draw Angelic Accord. So, as you can see, if this turn I can cast Angelic Accord and cast Swords to Plowshares, I'd gain 4 life off the Student of Ojutai, and I would then get an Angel. So that was the one reason in my deck not to cast Swords to Plowshares at their end turn. Also, I had so much mana it didn't really matter. The opponent taps down my Student with the Ojutai's Breath. It's going to rebound next turn, and has an Illusory Angel to follow up. They've just got so many cards in hand. Balagad Scorpion doesn't really do anything, but it's just an extra beater on the ground. I draw a blocker and gain 2 life with a Student of Ojutai. The reason I was holding this in my hand, by the way, is if I can draw a non-creature spell, I can cast this and the non-creature spell in the same turn to gain 4 life and get an Angel. So that's why I was holding it on, in case this turn I drew a non-creature spell. Would have been very good, but I drew an Infantry Veteran instead, which I have to play in chump block mode since Ojutai's Breath is going to hit Yosei. I have 1 block currently, but it is lethal when they cast 2 non-creature spells and attack with the entire team. The most I can block is 3 damage, and I die from that. So definitely that Swords to Plowshares play pretty much cost me getting a 4/4 Angel, and you know, could have been a lot different that game if I'd had the 4/4. So definitely worth keeping in mind. And the funny thing was, I was aware of it as I cast that spell. I was like, oh, if I draw Angelic Accord, this is probably going to go go downhill. So just slow down your play a little bit. Don't make mistakes like me, and really think about when you need to use those spells. All right. With that said, let's go back into the sideboard. So the Black Splash was okay, but I felt like it might have hurt us a little bit as well. I kind of, seeing from the opponent the 3 amass the components, all of the Jessian Thieves, we know that they're a late game value deck, and we really want to be on the ground early, when we want to be aggressive, and the Black Splash is going to slow us down a little bit from that. So I decided to take out all of the swamps, all of the black cards, put back in Borderland Marauder, which is pretty good attacker, and I also figured that Emerge Unscathed is pretty good against their deck since they've got removal, they've got tap spells, they've got bounce. So I bring in 2 more Emerge Unscathed and take out a Guided Strike in order to make room for it. So with that done, we head back in for Game 3. Here we are for Game 3 of the second round. Our hand is definitely not great. I'd far prefer this Auroch champion was a Seeker of the Way or something. But it does have a Fireball in it, which can take out some of their early blockers. I do really need to draw some action, so I think you'd be fine to mulligan this hand. In fact, I probably could have mulliganed more aggressively to find Seeker of the Way, etc. I did decide to keep it because the Auroch champion actually seemed pretty good against their black spells, although it appears that now they're not playing black. So, this game could definitely go downhill from here. They have a Mannequin, and we draw a Firemane Angel. I decided to go ahead and just Fireball this Mannequin now, get rid of their extra mana. Means we can also attack in. We draw a Serra Ascendant for the turn, which is nice, so we're going to start, doing some damage, pressuring the life totem. We got the Emerge Unscathed here to protect against removal spells. Opponent's likely not doing much at this stage, although we're only drawing lands, but we do have this Firemane Angel that we're ramping into. Well, when I say ramping, we're just playing a land every turn, but that's it. Alright, so the opponent again has no players, has 7 cards in hand, and passes the turn back to us, so I'm pretty suspicious at this point. I do have enough mana to cast the Firemane Angel, and again, if this gets counterspelled, it's not the end of the world because you can bring it back for 10 mana, but you definitely prefer to have it in play. I think it's pretty suspicious that the opponent hasn't played any cards with 7 cards in hand. Like, what do they have that they wouldn't have played last turn? So I decided instead not to play into anything and just pass the turn back. Again, we're kind of not winning on board, but we're definitely, we've got more creatures on board. They cast a Thrill Kill Assassin and pass the turn back to us. 6 cards in hand again. I decided there must be something afoot, but this Angelic Accord isn't really doing much for us at the moment. So I go ahead and attack with the protection from black creature and cast Angelic Accord to kind of bait out a counterspell, I guess. Opponent lets it resolve, casts a Disenchant on the Accord, and then uses this to cast Illusory Angel. We gain another life and go up to 26, so with the blue mana down, the coast is definitely clear to cast this Firemane Angel. Matches up pretty nicely against the Illusory Angel since the Firemane has first strike. No attacks good for us here. Opponent casts a Bane of Balaged Scorpion. No, not Bane of Balaged, just the Balaged Scorpion, targeting our Serra Ascendant, and I do decide to cast the Emerge Unscathed because we're gaining 1 life from the Balaged Scorpion. We'll gain 1 life in our upkeep from the Firemane Angel, and then any other creature is going to gain us the final life to get us up to 30 and make this a 6/6 flyer. So go ahead and cast the Emerge Unscathed to protect our Serra Ascendant. Give it protection from black. Opponent again has no players, so here we go, that player I talked about. We gain 1 life from the Firemane Angel. Emerge Unscathed rebounds on the Serra Ascendant. We can cast any of our creatures to trigger the life gain. I decided to cast the Veteran. Keep the Seeker of the Way back in case there's some kind of Wrath effect. We attack in for 10, 6 of it lifelink, 4 of it first strike and flying, and the opponent just scoops it up. Very curious to see what they had in their hand. Maybe they did have the counter spells, maybe they didn't. We'll never really know. But as you can see, that did work out by kind of playing around it for a turn and going for it when the shields were down. So interesting game. We definitely had a pretty slow start and got kind of lucky with our draws, but the opponent also didn't really do much. So I guess that's the that's the pros and cons of Magic the Gathering. Anyway, with that said, we're into the finals. See you there. So here we are in the finals. We've got our colours of mana. We've got a 1-drop and our best 2-drop and nothing else. We are on the play, which means I decided to keep this hand. We've had a lot of hands this game which have been kind of dodgy, not very much action in them, and we only have 16 lands in the deck, so mulliganing is a little bit riskier for us than it would be if we had 17. On the play, I think this is a keep, although um, it's definitely a risk that we will draw into nothing, and in fact we do draw some more lands. Against an unknown opponent, again, it's hard to know what the correct move is. I do draw a 3-drop, although it's not a very good one in the Dragon Bell Monk. The opponent is casting some ramp spells. They have a Radiant Fountain here, a Thran Dynamo into a Pristine Talisman, so yeah, they've got all of the mana in the world, and we draw another land, so we're just attacking them here with our ground creatures. Draconic Roar takes out our Seeker of the Way, and they have an Angel of Mercy to follow up. So we do need to hit something here. Horizon Canopy, a good land from the opponent. We draw an Auroch Champion. So here I go ahead and attack with the Dragon Bell Monk. It's threatening to be a 4-4 if I have any spells, since I've got the Infantry Veteran. They do actually just chuck the Angel of Mercy in front of it, and I'm happy to make that trade since I can't really block a 3-3 flyer anyway. Going to cast an Auroch Champion here. Again, the powerful beats of the 1/1s is coming at the opponent. On 18 life, they're very scared with all of this mana. They cast Scion of Ugin. Good old 4-4 flyer. We can gain a life off it though. Do need to draw some action here. Angel of Mercy is pretty good. Actually lets us attack into the Scion of Ugin with his Infantry Veteran, which is kind of doing overtime work for us. And, buffers our life total a little bit. Opponent has an Iona's Judgment though to take out the Angel, which is annoying but good because it could have found a 5-man Angel or a Yosei instead, which would be much more brutal. We draw a Serra Ascendant, which is pretty bad, our 1/1 attacking army, but it does threaten, it does gain us a little bit of life. Opponent just starts attacking us with their Guardian Idol and the Scion of Ugin. We take a hit for 6 down to 11, and they have another Guardian Idol, but are now out of cards, and we do draw a Yosei. So that's pretty good for us. We get to gain 2 points of life off the Serra Ascendant with the Infantry Veteran. Cast our Yosei, and now actually we're in a pretty good spot. The opponent has only 1 card in hand for the turn since they draw. We can attack with our Yosei. Opponent just gains 1 life. We pump it up to 7. Since we are now actually winning this race, especially since we've got the lifelink and we've got the Auroch Champion buffering our life total a little bit. Opponent still only 1 card in hand. They picked up a land for the turn. Merge Unscathed is pretty nice since it lets us play around pretty much any trick from the opponent. And we, they're on a 2-turn clock at this point, although they do cast another flyer. We draw Swords to Plowshares, so at this stage, the opponent has 1 card in hand. We could potentially, say for instance, try and go for the win by swordsing something and merge Unscathed, but it's far safer just to play the long game here. We attack with Yosei. If they double block, we get a massive blowout. We can either use Emerge Unscathed or Swords, and I decide to use Emerge Unscathed since it has Rebound. We give our Yosei protection from white, meaning this won't deal any damage to it. We'll deal 4 damage to the Scion. We're just in like a really commanding position at this point, and the opponent decides that they've seen enough. We don't get to reveal our Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. So with that said, we head to the sideboard. So I saw a lot of mana ramp, mana stones from the opponent, sort of big creatures stuff. There's not too much that is actually in my sideboard that's very good against it. Fury Charm can destroy artifacts, but I've already got 3 disenchants, and I'm probably not going to be using the other modes on Fury Charm. I do decide to bring in 1 disenchant just to take out a Thran Dynamo or something like that, and they might have a big artifact that they're ramping into. And also seemed like Emerge Unscathed could be pretty decent, like they had the Draconic Roar, they've probably got a couple of Heat Rays, that they've got. So I bring in an Emerge Unscathed, take out a Moonglove Extract since most of their creatures that I saw were, much bigger than that, and a Guided Strike I go take out as well since we're not really doing combat tricks, and I think the Emerge Unscathed just does a better job of it. So with that said, we go in for the second game. Here we are for game 2 of the finals. Just going to talk about this hand that I decided to keep here. Probably noticing that I keep some pretty interesting hands. I could be a lot more aggressive certainly in my mulligans. Alright, so my reasoning is this. Most of the time 7 cards does give you a slight advantage because you've just got that 1 extra card, than if you mulligan. So the scry negates it a little bit, but still having card advantage in this kind of heavy hitting format is pretty important. It's also not the fastest format that I've seen, lots of mana ramping, lots of kind of getting things set up, and starting the game with like two of our most powerful spells, well, three of our most powerful spells in hand is pretty strong. We're also playing with the top, three cards of our deck essentially as well, because if we draw, say, one of our one drops or a Student of Otatai, which is quite likely, we have quite a few of them in the deck, then this hand is still pretty good. So if they're in the first three cards, I think we're in pretty good shape. And that's the kind of reason I keep a hand like this when on first glance it seems like I can't actually cast anything, and I'm really slow and I'm on the draw. So that's my reasoning. We'll see if it pans out. We draw a Plains. Does mean we can now cast our Student of Otatai. As expected, the opponent starts doing some mana ramp. We didn't see anything really scary that the opponent powered out though, apart from the Scion, which isn't the biggest deal. No more land drops from the opponent, but a second Guardian Idol, so they can start bashing us for 2, although we're going to have the Student next turn. 5 mana here means the opponent can cast Angel of Mercy. Ajani's Pridemate's a pretty nice draw for us since it's a very aggressive, threatening 2-drop. Especially with this Student of Otatai, any non-creature spells we're casting are going to give it a +1/+1 counter. Second Angel of Mercy from the opponent. Here we get to do a nice little play of the Darksteel, the Ajani's Pridemate into Darksteel Axe. We get to gain a life. So we've got a choice here. We could equip the Student of Otatai and attack in for 4. The opponent is on 26 life, or we can just keep this Emerge Unscathed open. If we keep the Emerge Unscathed open, it's kind of signaling we've got something, since why didn't we just equip this for the 2 mana? But I decided that's kind of better at this stage, since we're not really racing these angels. We kind of need to stabilize the board, and Ajani's Pridemate is the kind of card that we can get back with. Most likely next turn I'm going to have to Fireball one of these angels, since they've got so much pressure on us. Fireballs also gain us some life, which is going to mean Ajani's Pridemate gets a counter. So I Fireball for 3 damage. Just a plain old Heat Ray at this stage. Opponent uses a Draconic Roar in response on our Ajani's Pridemate, and luckily we've got this 1 white left up for Emerge Unscathed, almost like we planned it like that. Hint, we did. So now we get to attack him with our Pridemate. They attack back for 3 with their Angel, but now it's much less of a clock. They do cast another flyer, but Emerge Unscathed is kind of doing the wombo combo, coming back on our turn, gaining us life from the Student of Otatai, putting counters on the Pridemate, making this thing massive. We can also equip the Axe to one of our creatures. I'm keeping... I decided to equip the Axe to the Pridemate, attack in here, and then we've got the choice of either making it bigger with the Moonglove Extract or playing another threat. I decided to go ahead and play another threat. The Moonglove Extract can come down next turn. It's not really threatening to kill anything at the moment. Also, the threat of having 2 damage to the opponent might be quite useful. They have a Moonglove Extract of their own. So here we've got a choice of whether we want to cast one of our big flyers, the Firemane or the Yosei, or put the Moonglove Extract down. Again, the extract doesn't really do much. I decided to get this good old Firemane into play, since it's going to start triggering the Ajani's Pridemate. I have no attacks this turn, since they could potentially kill the Pridemate with 3, 4, 5 and a Guardian, and the Moonglove Extract. Opponent has no plays, so there's the risk that we're going to run into some kind of instant speed removal spell here. The ones that spring to mind are like Heat Ray and just like the burn spells. So I decided to go ahead and play out my non-creature spells, trigger this Pridemate, equip the Darksteel Axe to the Firemane Angel, which is the first strike, is pretty brutal, and then attack with my good attackers. I had the option to attack with the Student of Otatai, but I felt like it was doing a pretty good job of holding back Guardian Idols, and outside of Wing Shards I couldn't really see what the point was of attacking with it. Turns out the opponent has the Heat Ray to take out our Borderland Marauder, and then I called it, Wing Shards. I was like, wow, this is a massive blowout. So it turns out with 3 spells played, so attacking with the Student was a bad idea anyway, since we'd have to sacrifice all of our creatures. As it is, we only have to sacrifice our 6/3 first strike and our 8/5 ground creature. Bit of a blowout. Opponent can now start pressuring us in the air. Thankfully, we do have a Yosei to follow up, otherwise that would have been a massive game swing for the opponent. Start gaining life from this Firemane Angel. We draw a Disenchant, which could be useful. But kind of at this stage I want to get the Yosei down, which is going to do a nice job for us. I do decide to start attacking here, since they're on low enough life that it might matter. Yosei is going to be able to block anything they send at us. But they have a second Heat Ray, I take out Yosei. Does mean we get to time walk them. They do get to draw a card. What's the appropriate? We get to I forget what that old card is. That means they skip their untapped step. I know Brine Elemental makes it do them, but there's another card, Stasis or something. Anyway, so I decided to get aggressive here. Put the Darksteel Axe on the student. Bash in for 4. Cast this second student. And our Disenchant's going to gain us 4 life, which is pretty nice. Alright, so they had an interesting play there. In that they cast Surreal Memoir. So that's returned a Heat Ray to their hand out of the option of a Heat Ray, a Roar, and a Wing Shard. So opponent's kind of doing the red-white removal spells deck, which is pretty cool. They decide not to attack us though, because we are getting quite aggressive with our student. Fireman Angel gains us another point of life, and we find a very nice draw in Angelic Accord, which is going to actually trigger off the students to gain us 4 life, and then we're going to get a 4/4 flyer out of it at the end. At this stage I decide, with how valuable our students are, we probably don't want to attack, since we're going to start any non-creature spell like this. A Disenchant is going to give us a 4/4. Surreal Memoir rebounds and returns a Wing Shards to their hand, so we know they've got Heat Ray and Wing Shards. They cast a Colligan's Monument, which is pretty nice. So I actually put a stop at their second main phase here. Colligan's Monument is a good card. They're going to be able to activate it into a creature. I could potentially get some kind of blowout, but the fact that most of my creatures are like 4/4s anyway, it means they're unlikely to double block. This will probably just be a single block. And I decide that, with these 2 students on the board, I want to get as many angels as I can. I know that they have a Heat Ray and a Wing Shard, so I end of turn go ahead, well, not end of turn, I second main phase, disenchant their Colligan's Command, meaning that these students are going to trigger, and Angelic Accord is going to trigger at their end of turn, meaning I can attack with the angel. Gain 1 life from the Fire Main, so we just need to gain 3 life this turn in order to cast it. Knowing about that Wing Shards and the Heat Ray, I'm incentivized to only attack with 1 creature, so I buff up the angel to a 6/4 and attack with it. If they double block, I can Moonglove Extract to take down their creature, but they just... interesting play here. They Heat Ray my student. Obviously more scared about the 4 life a turn than the angel, and they go ahead and just chump block the angel, which I'm happy with. And then they use their own Moonglove Extract to finish it off, of course. Alright, so we do go down an angel in that trade, but I do get 2 cards from the opponent. Fireman Angel gains me life, and it's getting close to where it's going to start coming back. I'm aware of that Wing Shard, so I decide I don't want to ascend with the student and the angel yet. I've got 9 mana, and I decide that I'm definitely winning this race, so I'm just going to sit back. Well, not winning the race, but I'm in an advantageous spot at the moment. They've still got that Wing Shards, but drawing an Infantry Veteran's kind of nice, since it's a little creature that we can potentially throw away to the Wing Shards. Lands or spells are good for us at this point, since the opponent's not really pressuring our massive life total. Drawing the Angel of Mercy is also very nice, since it lets us gain 4 life this turn, 1 from the Fireman Angel and 3 from the Angel of Mercy. I decide I don't need this Student of Ojutai anymore, since it's also threatening to be a 5/5 with the Infantry Veteran, and I can actually deal up to 7 points of damage with the Moonglove Extract. So it'll trade for one of these flyers. They do just decide to use a Wing Shards to take it out though, which I'm happy with. Cast the Angel of Mercy down, and trigger the Angelic Accord. Equip that Darksteel Axe. So we've got a pretty nice army of flyers out at the moment. We know we've taken out both the Heat Ray and the Wing Shards from their hand. So I go ahead and attack with 3 creatures here, all in the air flying. Opponent has a Resto, for no real effect other than just a 3/4 flash flying. And they also have a second Wing Shard, so here we go again. All of our flyers getting taken out. So I have to sacrifice 2 of them, and then they can obviously just double block or triple block the remaining flyer, which they do. At least I do get to take out one of their creatures, so I take out the Resto Angel. And we did draw our 10th land for the Fireman Angel, which is pretty nice. So in our upkeep we'll be able to bring that one back, which is going to give us another threat. They have a Gutter Snipe, which we can take out with the Moonglove Extract at some point. They decide to animate their Guardian Idol and get a bit aggressive here, attacking with their creatures, but on 33 life I'm not really worried. I could block with the Infantry Veteran, but I feel like this might be useful at some later point, so I decide just to take the damage. So here's an interesting point. This was due to Magic Online. Fireman Angel triggered, gained me a life, but I didn't get to return it. I thought it would be like some kind of automatic, do you want to return this card? Turns out you actually have to set a stop in your upkeep in order to return it, so that's pretty bad for us. We lose a bit of tempo. We've got all of this untapped mana, but I definitely set a stop in my upkeep to do it next turn. We're still on a healthy life total, so hopefully that punt didn't cost us too much. They do attack with the team here. Again, I decide not to block since I'm on such a high life total. I do have this Moonglove Extract sitting back, so I can take out one of their creatures. So I go down to 20 life, which is a bit worse if I draw the Serra Ascendant, but I do, in my upkeep, correctly return the Fireman Angel. Which also somehow means that we don't gain the 1 life. I'm not sure if that's a rules thing or a bug. I decided to get aggressive here with this 3-1 attack in. They animate the Guardian Idol and I just take it out with my Moonglove Extract, since putting them to 6 seems like a pretty good plan. I did draw the Serra Ascendant, by the way, so 30 life would have been much better for me, but Fireman Angel is going to be a huge threat here, since we can put the Darksteel Axe on it, start attacking with a 7/4 first striker, and like, what can they do against this? They kill it, I kill one of their things, I bring it back in my upkeep. The power of Fireman Angel. So yeah, essentially the only thing they can profitably do is just chump block it, and I'm sort of happy with that. Equip my Darksteel Axe back in case any shenanigans happen. Opponent draws a blank and just decides that, yep, they can't beat Fireman Angel, and that's going to be the game, set, and match. 3-0 with this pretty interesting red-white life gain matters deck. Normally it's black-white, but we really got there with the Fireman Angel. And as you can see from that drafting section, we just, we read what colours were open. We knew that white was open. Red seemed to be a good fit with it, and so we swapped into those colours late, and we just got rewarded with a pretty sweet deck. Yajani's Pridemate. We had those double Seeker of the Waves, which we didn't draw very much. But overall, very fun draft. I had a lot of fun with this Iconic Masters draft. This was my first one, and hopefully you got to learn a little bit about, how to swap colors, how to read what's open, and hopefully from my play mistakes, how to play better Magic as well. So thanks very much for watching this draft from Arcane Cards, and we'll hope to see you next time.